Hi, this is Jill with PhocusWire. We're here at the Phocuswright conference in Amsterdam. And my next guest here, I'm going to butcher your name and I'm sorry, it's Jeroen Merhers, yes?
Perfect.
Okay, sure. Why not? With Airbnb, so thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, I interviewed CEO Brian Chesky in February around all of the new product announcements that Airbnb had, and he said to me that Airbnb wins in this game by having the best trip. So what does having the best trip mean to you?
Yeah, so Airbnb has started from a home sharing company. That was our very first initial product anyway, from the first listing that we created, to an accommodation company, to where we are now is more of an integrated travel company. We don't cover all of the verticals yet. We cover accommodation, obviously, it's our core business still. We've launched and we're scaling at this moment all of the experiences. So once you are in destination, all of the things that you're able to do around your accommodation, around your stay. And then the next thing is going to be all of the other services. Could be ancillary services, could be the transportation service and so on. So that's what we then call a trip. But the entire company is basically a trip company, and then you have the different businesses that are focusing on subsets of that.
Mm-hmm. Ancillaries is interesting. Can you expand on what you have planned in the ancillary space, or what?
So at this moment, we're not ready to announce anything just yet. What we are focusing on is our homes business and our experiences businesses. There's been announcements about beyond and taking that to the next level, but those are the two main businesses that we're working towards.
Yeah, and looking at experiences in particular, how has that in Europe particularly grown compared to other regions, or what's the market like for that here?
Yeah. I think it's a huge market, and for every dollar that is spent on accommodation, $3 is spent on non-accommodation or some of the experiences around that, right? So the potential is tremendous. We've started with about 500 very immersive experiences back in 2016 when we launched 12 markets. We are at the moment, and we spent quite a lot of time of defining the playbook of how can we make the unit economics work, how can we do that at scale, while still providing great service. 90% of the trips that are taken are 5-star trips. So we're not ready to compromise on that. How can we maintain that, but do it at scale and do it as efficient as possible, right? So we've spent about a year of figuring that out. At this moment in time, I think we have a very good playbook, and we're starting to scale the experiences business. We're about 5,000 experiences in about 60 markets. By the end of this year, we want to multiply that times 10, and about 50% of that is going to be in our what I'm responsible for, which is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa markets.
Mm-hmm. And your talk that you just had with Douglas, he asked if big box tours or any of those bigger things, and you said that those are not going to be part of the playbook at any time soon, or
there's not really a lot of sense.
Because hotels kind of became an inevitability for you guys when you added that. Is that sort of where
experiences
goes?
There's hotels and hotels. The ones that we have decided to put on are the ones that provide that really what we hold very true to ourselves, which is that personalized hospitality. There's some traditional hospitality providers, some boutique hotels, some bed and breakfast that do an exquisite job at that. And we want to welcome them as part of our community. The same thing with some of the experiences. Right. Now, I don't see how double-decker tour buses, Segway tours and so on can provide that. Right. So I don't think this is going to be a focus for us anytime soon, no.
And how are the experiences key to, Airbnb has a lot of focus on the local sustainable growth, especially outside of these big major tourism destinations. How do experiences play into that, the sustainable growth of tourism?
Yeah, we're seeing now a lot of debates. I live in Barcelona, for example, and there's a big debate about tourism in general, right? And I think we need to kind of revamp or reignite tourism because it's been broken a little bit. With broken, I mean that there's too many people going to the same place at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Airbnb can actually help to spread some of that tourism, to redistribute some of the wealth that tourism generates across the population, and by having people participate in that. So if you take a look at where our listings, where our offering is based, it's not just in the center districts, it's much broader than that. So we can help for cities to really spread that out and reinvent that. We think that a true exquisite hospitality experience, a memorable trip in a way, is powered by people, and we want to be the one that provide the technology so that people are able to do that in the best way possible.
Right. And that kind of goes in line with what you said earlier too about being a community, not a commodity.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
So
This is a little bit what we hold ourselves through, right? Hospitality is going towards, or has become a little bit of commoditized, and I think we want to bring it back to the community, bring it back to the people-powered angle. Very important. And if you take a look at how we've grown, 60% of our traffic is organic traffic of people recommending Airbnb to their friends, to their family members. 72% of our inventory is unique to Airbnb. So again, this is something that you can only book on our platform. Our platform is not optimized for an immediate transaction. It's not as efficient as it could be, as other platforms are, right? Our platform is optimized for people to interact with each other, to trust each other, even though they speak different languages and they are thousands of miles apart. So how can we do that? That's where the reviews comes in. That's the fact that we handle payments, the fact that there's ID verifications, and all of these things. We put steps in between, but we hold that trust that we've been able to create over the last 10 years. Yeah. This is what we need to cherish.
And that's kind of where the direction you're going to keep going in the next 10 years.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So looking at a couple of the segments, you mentioned earlier too about millennial travelers, and their preferences are changing because they have families now and they need bigger accommodations, and that doesn't always necessarily fit into the home share stuff. What are the challenges that you're seeing with these travelers as they're getting older and their preferences change?
So we've recently announced a few things, right? We saw that our core community, the millennials, they were the first ones to discover Airbnb, to use Airbnb to go to their urban destinations, some vacation rental destinations. They start to have families now. Their life changes. They start to have jobs now. So we've introduced a couple of what we call collections. Collections for traveling with your family, so that making it fairly easy for you to say, I'm traveling with my family, what is out there, where I want to go.
And that just means like a bigger property, or what are the sort of accommodations you're getting with the family?
Having toys available, making sure that there's a bigger multi-unit space. It means several things. I have 3 kids. Right. I would not be able to stay at a hotel with my kids. They're small. So that will help me find. We always have them. We have 2.5 million properties on Airbnb that are family friendly. Right. So it's just combining them exactly and making it easier. The second one is Airbnb for work, right? The same thing. There's different moments in time when you travel. You could travel for leisure. You could travel for business. You could travel with your family, with your partner, whatever. And you're looking for something a little bit different on every single occasion. So we've invested a lot of resources in making it easier for you to find what you're looking for, and a work collection is a pretty obvious one. Yeah. Now there's also a big segment that we weren't tailoring for that wasn't using Airbnb, and because it was kind of thinking it is probably not for me. And that's where some of the new categories that we introduced, some of the plus where we go through the 100-point checklist, we introduced that. So there's a lot of new things, and basically structuring our data and making it easier for you to find across the 5 million listings that we have.
So the work category in particular, have you seen the business travelers using Airbnb more, or what's the growth around business in particular?
Yeah, I think this is one of the future success stories of Airbnb. We have employees of more than 250,000 companies, 250,000 companies that have signed up for a business travel account with Airbnb. Yeah. So this is one of the things where, especially companies that really want to empower their employees, and not just the big ones, not just the Facebook, the Googles and so on, also more traditional, and then a lot of smaller companies are starting to say, well, it's actually an interesting opportunity, not necessarily to save cost, but really because I'm going to stay in a specific place, in a specific city for quite a significant time. I'd like to have all of the commodities and all of the freedom and all of the space that I would feel like I want to feel like I'm at home.
At home, yeah. All right, and just to wrap this up, kind of in line with the business travelers, are you making any sort of concentrated effort around the bleisure or bleisure, however you want to say that, travelers? Because there was a lot of talk about that. Expedia did a really good workshop on kind of the business of that and what Airbnb's is there a strategy around it?
For us, we were grown from a leisure company. I think that was one of our focuses. Even though the very first people that stayed on Airbnb on the 3 air mattresses that we inflated in the very first listing were kind of on business travel. So it was we were a leisure company. we're starting to see there are a lot of people from a business background that are traveling on business and staying on Airbnb. So I think there's that natural confluence.
It's just naturally, yeah.
It's just natural, right? And I think it's going to be really hard to differentiate saying, am I in Amsterdam on business, or am I think no matter where you are, you want to feel that this is the right place, and you want to find the right place to stay. And I think we want to be the platform that helps you to find that.
Trip for everyone.
Exactly.
Awesome, great. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.